So Usman Nurmagomedov just defeated Paul Hughes in the PFL's Road to Dubai or whatever random event they have for the lightweight belt. And let me just say this: Paul Hughes, he had his work cut out for him, but it wasn't because Usman Nurmagomedov was just that much better than him. No, it was because Usman Nurmagomedov was able to repeatedly groin shot Paul Hughes anytime Paul Hughes tried to mount some sort of offense. And also, it's because the judges in Dubai are absolutely corrupt. All right, we got a 50-45 scorecard over here next to a 49-46 scorecard and a 48-47 scorecard. All right, I don't know how there can be that big of a discrepancy, but we're gonna talk about that later. But for now, we're just gonna talk about Usman Nurmagomedov. All right, he's claiming that he comfortably won all 5 rounds. No, you didn't. All right. The ones you comfortably won were the ones where Paul Hughes went down due to a groin shot. Nothing much really happened. All right. Usman Nurmagomedov won secured some rounds, basically securing a takedown. Like it was very close in a lot of those rounds, right? And especially in rounds 3 and 5, which are the rounds I scored for Paul Hughes. Paul Hughes was doing more. Paul Hughes was landing a lot better. He was throwing a lot more. He had Usman Nurmagomedov stumbled a couple of times, and Usman didn't really do much of anything in those rounds. All right, and we're gonna look at these judges' scorecards over here. Of course, Hadi Muhammad Ali. I mean the name figures. All right, he's probably gonna just give the fight to Usman Nurmagomedov. Oddly enough, the only round he didn't give to Usman was the 5th round. But outside of that, I clearly thought that round 3 went to Paul Hughes. Round 2 is a little bit of a swing round in my opinion. Like personally, I had it for Paul Hughes, but if you have it for Usman Nurmagomedov, for me, it's not the end of the world because not a lot of action really happened. Right. But the main egregious scorecard we're gonna talk about is from here. Bryan Miner. Right. He's not even Muslim, which is the shocking factor. But he scored this fight 50-45 for Usman Nurmagomedov. That is simply blatant corruption. I don't know how else you could put it that way, but Usman Nurmagomedov did not win all 5 rounds of this fight. At best, he won 3 rounds. All right, he won 2 rounds based off groin shotting someone, and then the second round was kind of a swing round where neither fighter really got anything established. So the only guy who had a reasonable scorecard was Daryl Ransom over here. Uh, Shocking enough, he didn't score the 3rd round for Paul Hughes, but scored the 2nd round for Paul Hughes. I don't agree with that, but alright, he had 48-47 for Usman Nurmagomedov, right? That's not the end of the world, alright? You can honestly give this fight to Usman Nurmagomedov legitimately. Like, I don't really have that big of a problem with it. But again, the 50-45, 49-46 scorecards, simply egregious, alright? One of them, you can already tell by their name that they were gonna, like, biasly favor Usman Nurmagomedov. And the other one, he doesn't have the Muslim name or anything like that, but he has been known for some blatant corruption. Right? You take a look at his history over here. Uh, uh yeah, every time a Muslim fighter is fighting on like the PFL cards, like now it could be because a lot of these guys are just better than their opponents, but at the same time, if you look up this guy Bryan Miner on your own, you're going to see a lot of questionable controversy regarding his judging for like PFL fights especially. But never mind that. The main reason I decided to bring this up is because Usman Nurmagomedov, simply put, is a fraud. He is not as good as the Usman fans will have you believing, right? Usman Nurmagomedov, if he ever comes to the UFC, which is what Usman Nurmagomedov's fans want, all right, they want to see him potentially get a title shot against Ilya Taporia. They actually do believe that he'll beat Ilya Taporia. No, no. Like Habib been saying this, Islam's been saying this, everyone in the Dagestani training camps have been saying this. In reality, that's just not true, right? I'm better than Ilya Taboria. If I beat Paul Hughes, I'll rank myself as the number one fighter in the world at lightweight. Buddy, you couldn't even beat Paul Hughes legitimately. You had to get multiple fouls, and you arguably lost that fight even then. So I don't want to hear Usman Nurmagomedov's name in the same sentence or paragraph as Ilya Taporia. Ilya Taporia will slump him out cold in the first 30 seconds. We also got uh, Usman fans talking about in a heated debate who wins right now, Justin Gaethje or Usman Nurmagomedov. Usman Nurmagomedov's not even getting past Fiziev. Fiziev will dog walk him 30-27, all right? And Justin Gaethje's the guy who beat Rafael Fiziev after coming off a brutal knockout against Max Holloway. So there are levels to this, all right? Usman Nurmagomedov fans, and by extension, that means like the hardcore Dagestani fans who just support every single Dagestani fighter just because they're from that region of the world. All right. This is a message to you guys. He's not as good as you would like him to be, simply put. All right. Is he a good fighter? Yes. If he ever comes to the UFC, I could see him potentially winning some great matchups, all right? He can beat a Mauricio Rufy, in my opinion. He can beat a lot of the guys just outside of the rankings that are like on huge win streaks. Like he can beat a Tom Nolan, maybe. He can beat an Esteban Ribovic. There's a lot of names that I would genuinely be interested in for Usman Nurmagomedov to fight right now. But he is not at championship caliber in the UFC. He is not even top 5 level. All right, the stratosphere is not the same between Usman Nurmagomedov and any of the top contenders in the lightweight division for the UFC. All right, at best, I see Usman Nurmagomedov as someone who's clinging on to the number 15 ranking spot. All right, let's look at the lightweight rankings over here. Mauricio Rufy. Okay, I could see him winning that. Grant Dawson, I think, will comfortably outgrapple him. Benoit Saint-Denis will have a very competitive fight where I could see Benoit Saint-Denis just marauding through. Michael Chandler. I could honestly see Michael Chandler winning this fight. Renato Moicano can beat Usman Nurmagomedov. Maybe Usman can beat Renato Moicano as of right now, but still, are you really gonna give Usman Nurmagomedov that big of a favorite to Renato Moicano? I don't think so. Rafael Fiziev will smoke Usman Nurmagomedov up like a blunt. And Neil Dariush will crafty vet his way through. Mateusz Gamrot will just drown him with nonstop takedowns. Paddy Pimblett will beat Usman Nurmagomedov. Dan Hooker will absolutely break Usman Nurmagomedov. Justin Gaethje is not even a question. Carlos Oliveira, not even a question. Max Holloway will school Usman Nurmagomedov on the feet. Arman Sarukian will just ragdoll him at will. And of course, it's Islam Makhachev, so there's no debate on that. Let alone the champion in the lightweight division in Ilya Taporia. All right. So my final message: we gotta stop hyping up Usman Nurmagomedov as if he's the next coming of Habib Nurmagomedov or like the lineage of Habib to Islam to Usman at lightweight. There was no lineage, all right? It was Habib and Islam. There's no third person in this conversation. And as far as I'm concerned, the only people who still believe that Usman Nurmagomedov even won against Paul Hughes, let alone beats Ilya Taporia, are just blatant rage baiters like MMA Joey, all right? These blatant Dagestani glizzy gobblers, all right? Outside of those guys, uh, I don't see any sort of person who actually watches Usman Nurmagomedov fights think that Usman Nurmagomedov's that good because at best he's someone who can just barely make it into the UFC rankings, all right? That still doesn't mean he's a bad fighter, all right? He is very good. He's just not as good as all of these Dagestani fans claim. Like he's not gonna be a UFC champion. He's not gonna be in the UFC top 5. He's not gonna be in the UFC top 10 for the lightweight division. So I think that needs to be put to rest. All right, that's gonna be it for today's video. if you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can get this channel monetized. But yeah, other than that though, leave a comment down below how you guys would have scored Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes 2. Because personally, I thought Paul Hughes won rounds 3 and 5 clearly, and I kind of gave round 2 to Paul Hughes. If you didn't, then I'm not going to disagree with you, but still, all right, 50-45 is egregious. And there is a world where you can see Paul Hughes should have won, not even if you don't give him round 2 because of the number of fouls that were not called for, nor were there any point deductions for throughout this fight between Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov. But yeah, otherwise though, leave a comment down below what you guys think, and I will see you guys later. Peace.